Hey guys, Zack here, and this is my review of Kaitou Joker. Okay, so this episode is interesting, and it's a time travel story and a bit of a fun one at that. And what's kind of interesting here is that it's all the familiar faces that we know, but not as we know them, and it's very interesting and unusual. But yeah, but the episode actually opens up with a man named Dr. Sigma this is interesting because he exists but also not, and I'll explain that in a minute. But in any case, the chauffeur, who is heavily implied to be Joker, just tells the guard that he'll take Dr. Sigma directly home. And once they're out of the city, it's revealed that Dr. Sigma was just Hachi, and apparently there was an off-screen heist where they used their image gum to disguise themselves as a chauffeur and Dr. Sigma so that they could easily steal the self-titled Sigma drive. But yeah, in any case, they used that to steal Sigma drive, although the Joker openly admits he has no idea what it does. He literally just stole it because it's a valuable piece of tech. That's literally it. And Hachi is, of course, very annoyed at him for pointing out that obviously if you're stealing something, you should probably know what it does first. But in case, as they're making an escape, they're actually confronted by Shadow Joker, who appears on the bridge that they're taking to try and escape, and subsequently proceeds to blow it up, which causes the Road Joker to almost go off the road, and it's only because of Joker's quick thinking that they're able to actually save the car. But it's at this point where Shadow Joker then proceeds to confront them, pointing out that he's going to be stealing the Sigma drive from them, and that they can either take it, and they can either let him take it, or die. And of course, Joker points out that he's not going to let his prize, a Phantom Thief, go down without a fight. So he decides that he's not going to let Shadow steal the treasure, and proceeds to briefly fight him, which of course causes the two of them to get into a brief scuffle. But in the process, Shadow Joker accidentally hits the Sigma drive with his bloody rain while Joker is trying to fight while protecting it, and this actually causes it to go off, and they are suddenly transported from their own time to the Edo period of Japan, with Hachi watching the whole thing, and as we find out later, assumes that Joker is dead. So yeah, fun times all around. But in any case, they're immediately transported to the Edo period, where they actually drop the Sigma drive, and while Joker is trying to figure out where they are, Shadow Joker just kind of continues the fight while Joker's trying to figure out what's going on, with him ultimately pointing out that it's kind of irrelevant, and that they're suddenly transported to Edo Era Japan, and the two kind of just start fighting a little bit. At which point it eventually results in Joker dropping the Sigma drive, and it gets lost. At which point they're actually confronted by a man named Ichi, who I'm not going to actually going to picture because he looks exactly like Hachi, but just like an older person. He looks a little bit older, but he looks exactly like Hachi. In any case, this causes them to become visibly confused because they have no idea who this guy is. But Ichi, and also Joker keeps calling him Hachi throughout the episode because they look exactly the same. But Ichi actually confronts the two of them, pointing out that they seem to be a shady pair of individuals, and that he then proceeds to wonder if they're actually part of a clan called the Clockwork Thieves, which he points out have been stealing iron and a whole bunch of other things from around the city to bank it, to kind of steal something for an unknown purpose, and it's not clear at present what that unknown purpose is. But he also points out that since they seem to be dressed for the part, that they most likely are part of the group of bandits. And while Joker continues to insist that Ichi has the wrong person, and even points out that to stop fooling around with the whole ninja stuff. Once Ichi then proceeds to throw several ninja stars at Joker in a circle, revealing that he's not kidding and also not Hachi. So, with that, they quickly realize that they're not going to be able to fight Ichi and his army of ninjas, and decide to actually make a break for it for the time being. While a man in a bear mask who is heavily implied to be Kanehari's ancestor. It's not outright revealed until later, but it's heavily implied at this point. He winds up finding something that he remarks is made up, seems to have a power to be a source of electricity, and becomes very interested in it. He winds up finding the Sigma Drive, but winds up taking it for himself. But in any case, later that day, the two of them have since dressed up in disguises so that nobody will recognize them, and actually wearing traditional Japanese clothes. With Shadow Joker, and with that, Joker then points out that all they need to do now is find the Sigma Drive, which Shadow Joker points out is going to be easier said than done since it got lost in their fight last night. But in any case, it's at this point where Joker reveals that it's not a big that's not a big deal because he actually stuck a tracking device to it, and then also proceeds to help himself to some Dango ice cream. I believe that's what it's called, but he helps himself to some of it, and the two servers look exactly like Momo and Ginkgo from the main timeline, and of course they act exactly like them as well. It's because they're their ancestors, and sure enough, concluding that they now know where the Sigma Drive actually is, proceed to follow Joker's advice and go find it, but not before Joker pays them with a yen coin, which they remark they don't know, which obviously isn't a valid currency in Edo Era Japan, and not realizing that Joker just paid them with a currency they can't actually use. They then conclude that Joker and Shadow Joker have dined and dashed, and send their boss, who is Oniyama's ancestor, and sends him after them to go and apprehend them. And that winds up just being a reference to his catchphrase where he says they're so under arrest, they're so apprehended. But Casey then proceeds to chase after them for a bit, and they do eventually wind up in a secluded area where they realize that they've actually found out where the Sigma Drive is, having followed Joker's tracking device, and of course they have no idea what's going on. But of course they've quickly realized that they're going to need to sneak their way in because it's currently surrounded with guards. But so at which point Shadow Joker decides that he's going to blast the column to try to eliminate one of them, and while Joker stops him by pushing his umbrella out of the way, to get the guard out of the line of fire, it does wind up blowing up the nearby pillar, and it's revealed that the guard that they were going to shoot is actually a giant clockwork doll. So yeah, quickly, because and of course this explosion also gets the attention of Ichi, who goes to investigate, and sure enough, this winds up being a very bad situation because now they're surrounded by Ichi and his ninjas, and Ichi once again comes to the conclusion that they're working with the clockwork dolls, and even concludes that they seem to be part of the clockwork thieves as well. But even though Joker openly insists that he's a phantom thief, which he points out he points out they're basically the same thing, which he points out they are not. But in case the other clockwork dolls then proceed to start emerging from the bushes and start cornering Ichi, and contrasting his ancestor at least somewhat, as we find out, contrasting his descendant, Ichi is actually really a much better ninja than Hachi ever will be, and sure enough uses his ninjutsu to successfully evade being attacked by the clockwork dolls, and proceeds to destroy all of them with his abilities. And sure enough, Joker is so impressed by his display that he decides to declare Ichi the best in Japan, and also tries to make him his assistant on the spot, with him insisting that he will never do that because obviously, as he points out, it's he won't work with someone he believes to be a burglar. But Joker once again reiterates that he's a phantom thief. At which point, the master of the house, which, no surprise, is Kanehari's ancestor, and he comes out wondering what all the commotion is. At which point Joker and Shadow Joker just outright confront him and point out what they know. And but Kanehari isn't really listening, and just brings out his Kintaro, who's reimagined as a little clockwork bear in this one. But in any case, Kintaro comes out. But in any case, the little clockwork Kintaro comes out with a bowl full of treats, and and tells them to help themselves, and also lets it slip that he has a secret where pressing his nose will blow something up, but he covers himself up his own mouth to kind of keep the surprise, to keep the suspense. And but Joker and Shadow Joker outright rebuff his hospitality and declare that they're after what he stole. And also declares that he's not going, that as a Phantom Thief, he's not going to let Kanehari keep it. But sure enough, Kanehari not only points out that he has no idea what he's talking about, but also points out that they're burglars, with him and once again points out that burglars and Phantom Thieves are basically the same thing, which Joker points out they are not. And yeah, we've talked about this already. There's a distinction where they declare their crimes up front instead of just breaking in and stealing it, and that's really the main difference, actually. If they don't show up, and there was a one time where Joker was a burglar because they never found his advance notices, and that was the previous episode. But outside of that, he always declares his crimes up front. That's a distinct difference between being a Phantom Thief and being a standard criminal. But in any case, it's at this point where Joker declares that he's not going. That is his pride as a Phantom Thief. He's not going to let. He's going to steal back the Sigma Drive, and this causes Ichi to kind of become enamored with Joker the same way Hachi became enamored with him in the present day. But to this point where Oniyama and his employees actually show up to kind of arrest the man to kind of arrest Joker and Shadow Joker for a dine and dash using various grabbing poles that they have. And as we find out, Kanehari actually called Oniyama, called Ancestor Oniyama and told him that they were there. And sure enough, tells them to have them arrested. And well, they do their best at actually fighting back against them. Joker actually ultimately winds up getting caught because he tries to save Ichi because he thinks Ichi is in danger of being attacked by another Clockwork Doll that apparently survived the attack from earlier. But then discovers that Ichi just used his ninjutsu to replace himself with a log, and he was never in any danger. So Joker winds up cuddling a log and winds up getting arrested that way, while Shadow Joker, despite his best efforts, eventually realizes that his umbrella is missing, and he winds up getting trampled as well. It is also revealed that Ichi is the one who actually stole the umbrella and kind of calls them fools a little bit before leaving. At which point we find out that Kanehari actually did steal the Sigma Drive, and it's revealed what he's actually using it for. As it turns out, not only is he indeed the leader of the Clockwork Thieves, whose mascot is a bear, but what we find out is that he actually used the fact that he was the leader of the Clockwork Thieves to steal all of the iron in Edo, Japan, and build a giant mechanical robot bear mech out of it. So yeah, he also points out that he hasn't been able to use it until now because, as he points out, he hasn't had a reliable source of electricity, so he hasn't had a reliable power source to power it. At least until he found the Sigma Drive and then proceeds to stick it inside the giant bear's nose, which enables it to, which is where the power supply is, and enables it to run, which it actually does spring to life and becomes a much more powerful opponent. But what we find out shortly after is that apparently it doesn't. He isn't able to fully control it, and we do find out a little bit later how that becomes a problem. But in any case, they eventually do get arrested. But in any case, after Joker and Shadow Joker wind up getting arrested, they kind of somewhat bond a little bit, with Shadow Joker clarifying what the Sigma Drive actually is, about how it's a time machine, and obviously since Shadow Joker is the one who's after it, you can assume that it involves Professor Clover's plan of stealing time again. So yeah, and that's just been a recurring thing. All of his thefts have been time related. So yeah, the fact that he steals trying to steal a working time machine just kind of furthers his goals a little bit. But in any case, after wondering why Shadow Joker would want a time machine in the first place, Shadow Joker then points out that it's to get back the thing that Joker stole from him so many years ago, with Joker maybe somewhat figuring out who Shadow Joker might be, but Shadow Joker cuts him off, pointing out that that's not really important right now, and that's he's in no mood to be buddy-buddy with Joker, and for the time being, they just need to figure out a plan on how to get out. But Joker's too hungry to cooperate, so they have no idea what's going on. And Joker just wishes he had some curry. At which point Ichi shows up with his ninjas and actually busts them out. And sure enough, Ichi points out that he's there to spring them and tells them that he made flounder, which interestingly enough, that has a similar Japanese pronunciation to curry. So Joker initially misunderstands him at first, and and goes with him back to their ninja hideout where one of Ichi's ninjas then proceeds to lead them through their base, where we just see a bunch of other ninjas just going in and out of secret passageways, and it's really funny. But they do eventually arrive at the dinner table where Ichi offers them a large spread of flounder, and after a bit of a back and forth where Joker and Ichi kind of misunderstand each other, because as I pointed out, Joker thought he was saying curry when in actuality he was saying kari, which is the Japanese pronunciation for flounder. But in case the two Phantom Thieves do eventually dig in and decide that this is indeed the best thing they ever had, despite the initial misunderstanding, and wind up eating the whole spread by themselves. With Ichi just being very happy about how everything is going down, and but then also points out but then Joker actually asks him why he wound up saving them from prison, and what we find out is that Ichi has been doing this ninja justice thing for a long time, and he's learned how to actually tell if somebody's lying or not. So yeah, he could tell Joker was being genuine when he said he wasn't part of the Clockwork Thieves, whereas he noted that Canary was being a little bit more sketchy. So for that reason he decided to spring them while also trying to figure out what's going on with Canary. At which point, one of the ninjas actually winds up reporting back to him that something is going on and that there's a situation, and we find out what it is. As it turns out, Canary's ancestors' giant bear mech, it goes out of control. We've established that it goes out of control and he can't control it, but it does wind up destroying Canary's Edo Era mansion, and he can't control it, so he has his assistant go and look for it, but she can't find Kentaro. So the bear just kind of goes on a rampage and starts destroying the city. And there's a brief instance where Oniyama and his two assistants try to fight back, but it's clear that they're not going to be able to, and they decide to run away instead. But in case Ichi, realizing that the giant clockwork bear is most likely the Clockwork Thieves' handiwork, decides that they'll actually need to find a way to actually take it down together, and at which point Joker and Shadow Joker then proceed to change back to their regular clothes, which they revealed were just hiding underneath their shirt the entire time. But in case they then proceed to explain how the Phantom they proceed that they're miracle makers, and they'll find a way to actually defeat the bear in a spectacular way. Which reassures Ichi somewhat, and he and his ninjas go into battle while Joker and Shadow Joker try to attack the bear from the air. And it does sort of work at first. The ninjas are doing a very good job of distracting it with fireworks, but it quickly becomes apparent that isn't really phasing the bear, let alone hurting it. So they eventually try to figure out an direct course of attack, but eventually the bear tries to attack Ichi. So Joker winds up breaking scripts to try and go after him, and winds up saving him. But then the bear winds up picking him up and grabbing him in his claws. And then realizing that Shadow Joker's there, the giant bear then proceeds to pluck Shadow Joker out of the air as well. At which point they decide that they need to initiate a plan B, and sure enough, they did wind up planning a plan B in advance, which is revealed to be a giant Rube Goldberg machine, which, conveniently enough, is kickstarted by Canary's Kentaro. So he picks it up and throws it at the. So he picks it up and actually throws it at the Rube Goldberg machine, which winds up setting it off and firing an arrow, which winds up missing. Although it does cause the bear to kind of look up at it, which causes Canary to actually fall out of the mouth of it, and sure enough, his mask falls off, and he quickly finds out that he's actually the leader of the Clockwork Thieves, and tells him to stop the rampaging bear. Canary outright confesses that he can't, and obviously since they've already done their trick, there's nothing they can do. But Joker merely points out that they haven't seen the last of what the trick actually was, and reveals that he actually wasn't aiming at the bear. And then proceeds to declare that what his true trick actually was, and And sure enough, it's revealed that they actually set up another Rube Goldberg machine that the arrow winds up hitting and setting off, which is revealed to be Shadow Joker's umbrella. So, yeah, they set up a giant Rube Goldberg machine that is designed to shoot Shadow Joker's umbrella, and the energy from Shadow Joker's bloody rain once again hits the nose of the bear, which causes the Sigma Drive to activate, and proceeds to send Joker and Shadow Joker back to their own time, and sure enough, Joker decides to tell Ishii what he actually is, and points out that he and Shadow Joker are time travelers, and that they're going to be going back to their own time. And while Ishii doesn't fully understand the concept of time travel, he does point out that he looks a lot like he reminds him a lot of his descendant, and points out that he's going to say hi to him when he gets back to his main timeline. And with that, Shadow Joker and the Sigma Drive disappear, and the bear deactivates and kind of collapses in the middle of the street. At which point, Ichi then points out that he doesn't know who Joker is, but he gets a feeling that he's going to see him again. At which point, Kanari's assistant then proceeds to. She has a different name in Edo Era, so I don't really understand what her name is, but in this one, nor do I know the other ones, because they just look like them, but they're not the same person. But in case she proceeds to scoop up Kintaro and throw it at Kanari, who grabs it, but accidentally presses the button and blows up the giant mech. So yeah, no more mech bear, and that's just been a recurring bit for his character, and apparently it's always been a thing with his family. So yeah, apparently his family just has a long-running gag, spanning several centuries, mind you, where his family constantly builds this giant, elaborate thing and then proceeds to blow it up. And that has been as persistent from Edo Era all the way to the present day. So yeah, the Canaries have very bad luck with their explosives, is what we're establishing here. So, but in case with that, Joker and Shadow Joker, as well as the Sigma Drive, then proceed to return back to the present time, where Shadow Joker proceeds to snatch up the Sigma Drive because it landed next to him, and declares that now that he has it, he'll be able to get back what Joker stole from him, and bids him farewell before getting back on his motorcycle and driving away. With Joker just declaring that he and Shadow Joker will have to settle the score at some point, but for right now, he's not going to worry about it. At which point he notes that he also wonders where Hachi is, and sees that Hachi has actually arranged a funeral arrangement at the bridge for him, and again I pointed out he thought Joker was dead, but here it's very apparent that he very much thinks Joker is dead and actually arranged a funeral arrangement for him, which is kind of funny. But in case Joker then picks up the sandal that he brought back with him, and proceeds to peg Hachi in the head with it. And Hachi wonders who hit him, and then he turns around and discovers that Joker is completely fine. And Joker tells him that he's back, and tells him that he's hungry and that he wants Hachi to make curry for him. And Hachi is so moved by the fact that Joker's back that he just pulls him into a bear hug and is very happy to see him again. And that's where the episode ends. So. Yeah, this episode once again, in addition to some in-character stuff that's very funny, and implies that some of these characters have a long-standing history of have a long-standing history in their family of just being the same character, but over the course of several generations. Just so obviously there's Oniyama's family, who has more or less been trying to arrest people since the Edo Era, as well as Kanari, who's been blowing up all of his stuff since the Edo Era. And it's very funny and amusing. But more to the point, this episode kind of just continues the central mystery regarding who Professor Clover is, and once again we find out that not only has Professor Clover once again stolen something related to time, which is revealed to be the Sigma Drive, which is indeed a working time machine. It kind of reiterates what he's actually trying to do, but we also find out that Joker and Shadow Joker apparently have a long-standing history, and apparently Joker stole something from Shadow Joker at some point, but it's not clear what at this point. Although, given the fact that we know that Shadow Joker's sister Rose is in the story somewhere, I get the feeling there's something involved with Rose and Joker that Shadow Joker isn't bringing up, but it seems that those two characters in particular have a bit of a history where Joker and Rose did something, and apparently Shadow Joker can't forgive them because we know that something is off with Rose. So we know that she isn't in the story really. So clearly something very bad happened between the two of those characters. But in any case, yeah, that's my review of Kaitou Joker. What did you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter in the description below. Be sure to check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It does really help me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks that are my way of saying thanks. So be sure to check those out. Link is down in the description. And finally, if you want to see more content from me, there's actually two ways you can do that. The first way is by actually checking out the videos linked in the end screen. They're tailored to based on what you've watched or if you're new to the channel. Yeah, in any case, the top video is the most recent one. That's what's suggested in the top one, whereas the bottom one is suggested based on what you've seen from me already. So if you want to try something new or see more of what you like, then yeah, be sure to go check both of those videos out. And the other way you can help support me is by checking out my Twitch. Link is down in the description as well as the end screen. I stream every Sunday. I'm hoping to one day expand that to more days, but for the time being, just know that I stream every Sunday, and if you want to absolutely check those out, by all means, link is down in the description. Just go check those out. But in any case, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.